Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I want you to hear how Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer described President Trump.
To the details there, but there's a feeling of incompetence, of indecision, and chaos eating away at much of the country. And that is emanating from the man who's in charge, Donald Trump.
Couldn't some of those words be used to describe Democrats right now who are polling even lower than President Trump and Republicans?
Well, I use a different frame to describe Donald Trump, and I call it the 3 I's. Everything they've done in the first 100 days is illegal, immoral, and incompetent. And your previous guest just laid that out, whether it's the tariffs, whether it's the reverse Robin Hood of trying to cut programs like Meals on Wheels or Head Start, also billionaires and foreign investors can get a tax cut, or whether it's just the sheer incompetence of everything they're doing on the economy, trying to slash the size of the government and find efficiency. We are just seeing the chaos emerge right now. But to your point, I've talked to so many of my constituents, and what my constituents at Orange County are telling me is they want to see Democrats step up. And so, yes, we are suffering from lower poll numbers right now, but that's not because we're more unpopular with Republicans or independents. It's because we're so unpopular with our own party right now. That they want to see us be aggressive. They want to see us fight for the rule of law, for the things that matter, for our core American values, which are under attack right now.
Look, you just mentioned Democratic constituents have been showing up and being very vocal at town halls, especially demanding sort of more aggressive, stronger Democratic leadership. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker staged a sit-in on the steps of Capitol Hill to protest Republicans' budget proposal that they were trying to cut $1.5 trillion from the government budget. And Schumer, for his part, wrote a terse letter. Is this the kind of effective opposition that you think that your constituents want to see?
We need to get our message out there, whether it's the town halls that my Democratic colleagues have been doing across the board, town halls which, by the way, Republicans are not doing right now because they're so scared of their constituents. We need to get that message out there because right now Donald Trump and the Republicans have the bully pulpit, and they're using that every single day, whether it's Donald Trump, who we just saw lie again, whether it's Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, who lies every single day, many, many times, like every other word's a lie, or whether it's all the members of his administration. We are seeing a propaganda spread right now that should never happen in a democratic state. And so I know that my colleagues on the Democratic side of the aisle, we are struggling with the idea of how do we get our message out there when we don't control any of the bully pulpits that tend to get us the attention. So we're doing all we can, and I know that my constituents, we heard a lot of great praise for that town hall that Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries and others did the other day. They want to hear that message out there. They want to hear the truth, the facts about what's happening right now, just the indecency of the Trump administration. And again, you mentioned $1.5 trillion in cuts. I'll just point out that this has never been about efficiency or finding waste, fraud, and abuse. It's always been about partially paying for $7 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthiest people in America and the world, because, by the way, hundreds of billions of dollars of those tax cuts go straight to foreign investors. So we are cutting key programs, lifeline programs. We're talking about cutting Medicaid, also that Saudi billionaires can get a bigger tax cut. That's just wrong, and we need to stand up and message as much as we can.
Congressman, I do want to ask you about a tack that you have tried that is a bit different than the sit-ins and a terse letter. You partnered with Ranking Member Jerry Conley to investigate Trump's threat of using executive orders against law firms that represent parties who sued him or took part in investigations against him. You said that the agreements, which provide millions of dollars in what the White House is calling pro bono legal concessions to avoid being targeted by the Trump administration, mean that America's promise of equal justice under law will perish if the legal profession allows itself to be coerced into denying representation to the people who need it most. Why was this issue so very important to you?
Yeah, and that letter that Ranking Member Connolly and I wrote together followed on a letter that I led a few days before that with 14 other members of Congress, where we called out the law firms that had settled. And I want to just be clear about what's happening right now. Donald Trump has threatened these law firms and said that unless you accede to my demands, give us hundreds of millions of dollars in pro bono, which now add up to $950 million for the causes of his choice, that he will go after their core businesses. He'll prevent their lawyers from going into federal courthouses or talking to federal lawyers. They'll go after the clients of these law firms. So this is bully tactics. It's blatantly illegal and unconstitutional. It's a direct attack on the rule of law. He's going after a lawyer's livelihood right now and using the full power of the executive branch to do that. And unfortunately, no one in Congress on the other side of the aisle is stepping up to hold this, rein it in and hold him accountable, even though we all know this is not only unconstitutional, this is basically fascism playing out right now in America.
Some strong words for us this morning. Thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me. I appreciate it.